I'm head over heels for my fiancé, but his best friend has been making my life a living hell, and I refuse to marry someone who won't stand up for me. My fiancé has the biggest heart, he would literally give you the shirt, pants, and hat off his body if you asked for it. He's a recovering people pleaser, and I get it because I also used to be a people pleaser. We've been together for over 5 years. A few months ago, I started picking up on his best friend making some not so nice comments towards me. I'm trying to be vague, but let's just say this friend is the type to read who in the room would be most affected by being picked on, and then he picks and picks and picks on them until they can't take it anymore. Nobody ever really holds him accountable for this, and unfortunately I have somehow become his favorite target. I tried to put up with these comments, but it started getting really elaborate. The friend would make up lies about me saying things I never said. He once called me in front of all our friends, my fiancé included, just to yell "you're a bad friend" into the phone and then hang up. There's so much to it that I can't share because I'm trying to be somewhat anonymous. It started having an effect on me and my mental health, and I ended up having a full breakdown where I told my fiancé how much this was all starting to hurt me. The first time I broke down over this, he said he would talk to his friend about teasing and messing with me less. He then told me his friend was sorry and then that he'd be keeping an ear out for any other comments and he'd jump to my defense if it happened again. A few weeks later I had a second breakdown over all this. The situation itself is hitting a very specific childhood trauma and trigger for me, and he admitted that his friend didn't actually apologize. He actually said he was sorry I was too sensitive to understand his humor. At that point I told my fiancé my friendship with this person is over and I want zero contact from here on out, even if it means I have to miss out on events and parties that I'd otherwise love to go to. He agreed with me that all of this is being done with the intention to get a rise out of me, and that even if we try to get through to this friend he's so diabolical that we could never fully trust him to not treat me at least a little bit crappy. My fiancé kept asking if this meant he had to quit the project they're working on. I told him I would never tell him he had to because I know how much it means to him, but in all honesty, the fact that this person is treating me so poorly that I'm having physical stress reactions isn't enough for him to want to cut this person off does hurt a lot. The fact that it isn't a deal breaker for him is probably always going to sting a little. He's not confrontational at all and I always knew that, but it's not about confrontation. It's about standing in my corner. And I can't spend the rest of my life with someone who isn't in my corner. This friend is getting married to my best friend in a few months, and we're both supposed to be in the wedding, but I really have no clue how. I get a literal knot in my stomach anytime his name is even mentioned now. I have seen this friend one time since all of this came to a head, and he was so over the top nice to me that it came off as cocky. I had the second breakdown a few days afterwards because I realized I'm possibly going to spend the rest of my life on edge and on guard anytime this person is even somewhat in my vicinity, even if they aren't actively messing with me. I don't know how to come to terms with the fact that my fiancé was willing to lie to me on his crappy friend's behalf, but he's not willing to stand in my corner against him. I think it'll always hurt. This guy was supposed to be the best man in our wedding, and as a result we haven't been talking much about wedding plans. I think if he's still planning on this friend being in our wedding I may have to call it off for my own sanity, and that sucks so bad. This is eating me alive. I love my fiancé so much. I love his big heart and the way he loves with all of it, but he loves some truly wretched people, and I don't know if he'll enforce any boundaries with those people before the lack of boundaries becomes too much for me to handle. I'm just hurt. And hurting. And I just want whatever outcome to play out so I can stop feeling so guilty and awful all the time. Relevant comments. Has your fiancé defended her in any way? Not necessarily. He's non-confrontational but he knows the behavior isn't sustainable. He agrees with me that this friend is awful with the intention of being awful. They have a project they've been a part of together for over a decade and it means the universe to him and that's the biggest factor in all of this. He'd more than likely have to give that up. This entire situation is dog shit and there are zero winners, except for the asshole. What does your best friend say about this behavior? I have my own feelings towards what she's going through. I think she's being love-bombed and gaslit, and I've seen some proof of it with my own eyes. She was there for the bad friend comment and kind of defended him. I know she's so love-struck that she's probably going to choose him and it kills me but I'm trying really hard to step back in a way that doesn't totally burn my bridge with her in the end. When he gets that ring on her finger I have a feeling he will be a different man to her and she'll need support. I'll be there when she needs me. When commenters tell her she should walk away. I don't think I'm ready to make my peace with this comment quite yet, but I hear it and I'm trying. Right before I met my fiancé I had just cut out a vast majority of people, including one of my closest friends and a blood relative, for making me feel the same crappy small way my fiancé's friend makes me feel. It's so much harder to burn those rotten bridges when they're not yours to burn. Also, that's a lot easier to say when you have no stakes in this, my guy. I'm in love with my partner, and I know that this is eating him up just as much as it is me. Trust me when I say he holds himself accountable for his role in this, and we've had many in-depth conversations about how his friend will forever be this way so long as everybody in his life enables him to be. It's hard to cut someone off even when they deserve it. I'm trying to show my fiancé as much grace as I can because I know how hard it is to give up on someone you always hope would grow out of their awful behaviors. Update 1 month later. Never thought I'd actually update this account out of sheer embarrassment, but I wanted to share this for those who encouraged me to put myself first. I want you all to know my partner absolutely came through and protected me in this. We spent all this time since my last post up until last week communicating and trying to find a resolution, and walking through how it got this bad. He took a lot of accountability for that. This is not a case of me giving in. He understands fully that this has only got so bad because it's never been handled correctly, and he had a major hand in that. There were so many more layers to this than a Reddit post ever could have conveyed. The bottom line is we are closer than ever, and after a lot of talking, we decided on my partner sending a firm but not unkind message to his friend explaining the behaviors, explaining that they were hurting his partner, and that it needed to stop. He asked to write up the first draft and we could go over it together to try to perfect it. Reddit, please know the first draft my partner wrote was so spot on what I needed to read that it instantly shifted us into us versus the problem mode when we'd been stuck butting heads for weeks. He laid everything out so clearly in ways that we hadn't discussed, so I know it came from him. We had to tone down a lot of the big emotions. We really truly gave the message its best shot to address the situation without being hostile. We knew the response would be bad no matter what, but I don't think anything could have prepared us. This man went full scorched earth and blew up everything almost immediately. He insulted my partner. He told him these events didn't happen the way I claim they do. He demanded they meet up alone with a mediator. He even threatened to reach out to my partner's parents to fill them in, which is probably the moment we stopped taking his responses seriously. All of us are almost in our 30s. If once wasn't enough, he threatened it twice. We actually had to call them and warn them that he would be showing up at their place later this week and not to open the door. There's still a good chance he'll attempt it. We stayed respectful throughout all of this, which I feel good about. We didn't stoop to his level. We didn't insult anyone. We asked for basic human respect and somehow it blew up spectacularly. In the end, we both received a massive wall of text from my, now ex, best friend, fully backing up her man and telling her side of the story, which is so insanely far off from what actually happened that all I can do is laugh. We've been shifting from crying to being dumbstruck to just straight up laughing because of the absurdity. I went into this thinking she was brainwashed, but it turns out I was wrong. They're a perfect match. I wish them all the best. I'm sending them one last message setting the record straight, which my partner and I decided together was the best approach apart from just ghosting, before moving on from this entirely. I'm going to make it very clear this is done. Zero contact indefinitely and I will never look back. My partner and I both deserve way better friends and we both see that so clearly now. I'm so glad I learned my friend's true colors before we dropped $800 on a hotel for their wedding. Thank you to everyone who was kind. Not only did I put myself first in the end, but my partner did too. We're going to take this week in stride and process it all, grieve the friendships we once thought were forever, and at the end of the week we have a conveniently timed vacation to my partner's family cottage. I think we're going to come out of this stronger because we already feel it. Again, thank you to those who had something productive to say. And I've made my peace with all the rest. I guess if the guy does something else outlandish maybe I'll update, but for now, this chapter is closed and I'm so ready for it to start collecting dust. Added to add about how my fiancé is handling the business with the ex-friend. As well as he can. He stepped down. He is going to find another project eventually, I know it. This has been so impossibly hard on both of us, but I know it's hitting him a bit more than me right now and I'm making sure to prioritize him and remind him he can feel that pain and mourn what was, and it's not an insult to me at all if that makes sense. I know what this meant to him. He did give it up. I'm so sad he had to, but I'm grateful to him for putting his foot down. He's going to be okay, just needs some time to grieve and process.